as a co-founder and chief encouragement officer, CEO of Lead Every Day. Randy leads a team of talented coaches, trainers, and consultants who work with high-performance leaders, teams, and organizations around the world. His passion lies in cultivating integrity-driven leaders who excel in every facet of their lives. For Randy, helping leaders create clarity, grow capacity, and foster growth, something we're going to talk about today, in their businesses is more than work. It's a calling that he's pursued for over 3 decades. Little side note here, Randy was the very first guest of the AD Roundtable back in February of 2022 when I started this this journey with the AD Roundtable after we had been on hiatus for a little while and I took it over. He was the first one to say yes. And so really great to have him back today. And so Randy, thanks for saying yes again and welcome to the AD Roundtable.
Thank you, Don. I'm grateful to be here. And I'm glad after the mess that I probably created in the first episode, you were able to clean up that mess and you kept it going all these years. So
yep.
Good to be with you guys. I'm excited to hang out.
Good deal. Took till 2026, but we got it realigned and we're good to go. Now, Randy, in a culture that celebrates productivity, results, and long hours, all things that people on here can relate to, many leaders spend a tremendous amount of energy trying to win the work day, often without realizing the hidden cost that can come with the hours outside of work when they're neglected. You argue that the most influential leaders are not just effective professionals, but intentional husbands, wives, parents, and people. Leaders who understand that character, presence, and priorities are formed long before the workday begins and long after it ends. And so that brings me to my first question for you today. And for the purposes of our discussion, we'll use the time 9 to 5. I know that most people on this call, they start well before 9 and they leave well, after 5. But what are the biggest blind spots that leaders have about their home life, and how do those blind spots tend to show up in their leadership at work, particularly when leaders focus on winning the 9 to 5, but neglecting the 5 to 9, as you say?
Yeah, well, I will say the 9 to 5 for this audience is a joke, and I say that with authority because I don't know that you even knew this, Don, but 100 years ago, I actually was an athletic director for 4 or 5 years, and so I do understand all the skills that you have to bring to your work and all the demands on your time, and it's unending, really. I mean, when you think about it, from schedules and then you got games to go to, and you got, I mean, it's literally just, and I can only imagine it's harder now than it was 100 years ago. So it's really, this is a challenge. This question is a challenge to think about it. I think I would say, to answer the question specifically, you use the word blind spot. I think it's an interesting word. We call them blind spots because we can't see them. And I think sometimes we think things are going okay. We're doing what we're supposed to do. Our teams maybe are performing at the level and everything's kind of, it feels like it's all going well. And yet there can be something missing. We might be winning. And I use the iceberg a lot of times when I think about leadership. We think the skill side is the top. It's what's above the waterline. But if you know any scientist, they'll tell you that about 90% of the iceberg is below the water. And I think the character, the integration of home and work, the integration of my public life and my private life, the integration of my really the character side of my leadership is so important. And we always say if your heart's not right, it really is about your heart. Nobody really cares about your skills. And so if you're going to be a leader that has congruence in the way you live and lead, I think this 5 to 9, what happens outside of work, I think is just as important as what happens at work. And so I would say, back to the blind spot, I think the biggest blind spot a lot of us have is we can think that because we're home, we're home. And I don't. For me, I'll just say for me, I travel a lot. We're all over the place. It is easy to be here and not really be here. I'm still thinking about the next trip, for you guys, the next game, the next coach, the next hire, the next, what the equipment. It's like literally there's no end to things to be thinking about. And you can be at home and not really be at home. And I've used the phrase lately, proximity does not equal intimacy. And I think so many people think that because I'm with somebody, I'm really with them. And I know a bunch of people who've been married for a long time, actually, and they don't have connection the way they really should. Or I know a bunch of people who you can drive your 7-year-old to school every morning and feel like, oh, we spent some time together, and he may be on his pad or his video game, and you're taking a call on the way to school, and you're in the same car, but you're really not connected. And one last thought on it. I see this all the time now. You go out to a restaurant, you guys do as well. If you go to a restaurant, you'll see a lot of times what you would assume would be a family around a table, and maybe a mom and dad, and he's on a phone call, and maybe she's on, or she is, and one of them's on social media, and one of the kids has got an iPad, and the other one's texting a friend. And unless they're texting across the table, they're really not together. I mean, they're at the same table, but they're really not together. So I think the blind spot phrase you use there is so true. It's easy to think something is okay when it's really may not be, and so we've got to pay attention to that.
That's really good. You talk about that integration between public and private life. So many on this call, they work and live in the same community. And so it's like you're never off. I see people all the time at the grocery store. They know what I do. It's never just, hey, how you doing? It's, hey, what about this? And it has something to do with their kid's school, right?
Yeah.
And it's very hard to separate those two. Maybe one of the ongoing tensions, I think, for leaders, especially on this call, especially those in high responsibility roles, it's managing the constant pull between clarity, capacity, and growth, like we mentioned a minute ago. Leaders are expected to cast vision, care for people, deliver results, and continue developing themselves. That's everybody on here today, all while navigating increasing demands of their time and energy. It always seems like nothing's ever removed from the plate. Something's always just added to it. Much of your work emphasizes intentionality, being clear about what matters most, honest about personal limits, and disciplined about that growth. Yet for many leaders, even good priorities can slowly turn into overload if they're not managed well. I know I have fallen victim to this. I say yes too much. I don't say no enough. And then I find myself kind of at the limits of my capacity, and I feel like sometimes maybe the product isn't exactly as I would want it to be. That result can be burnout, it can be disengagement, or maybe it's even like a slow erosion of effectiveness, both at work and home, kind of that quiet quitting in both places. How can leaders realistically balance clarity, capacity, and growth in both their professional and personal lives without crossing that line into burnout or chronic overload?
Yeah, well, I would start with a couple of questions I would ask back here to the group, and one of the questions it's one of these are really two of my favorite questions. The first question is it's an old question. It's I think the second question that was ever asked in the history of the world. So this old question. This is I actually am a Bible reader, and if you go back and read the Bible, if you've not read the Bible, you probably have heard of Adam and Eve. They're the first man and woman. They've eaten the forbidden fruit. They decide our plan is we're going to hide ourselves from God, which is kind of funny when you think about it. And so God is the one who asked this question. He shows up and he asks the question, where are you? And I always tell leaders when I'm talking to them, my wife and I, we have 4 daughters that are grown now and gone. But we lost a couple of them through the years. I thought you were picking her up from practice, and today's your day, and I'm on my way back to the school, and we had a couple of them we tried to lose. They kept coming home. I mean, we probably all can relate to different kind. But God has not lost Adam and Eve. He needs for them to admit where they are. And I think that where are you question is so powerful. And I would just say for everybody here, start with that. Like, where are you today? What is your current reality at home? What is your current reality at work? If you even had one word to describe each, what would that be? And some of those words will be positive, but some of them are going to be, I'm frustrated, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm feeling, it's just feeling destructive, I'm depressed. I mean, there's all kind of words that we would come up with. And so I think we have to go back to like where we are. You don't have to stay where you are, but you do have to start there. So that's the first question. Where are you? The second question, though, is what are you trying to accomplish? And I think sometimes if I'm not careful, I'll just put a lot of stuff onto my schedule and I'll confuse activity with accomplishment. I'll think because I got a lot of stuff going on, I'm really accomplishing what I need to be. And I really do need to go back and ask myself often, what am I trying to accomplish? And if I do that, and then I can understand, like, not only what am I trying to do, but why does it matter? It just helps me calibrate back to the clarity. Your first word there with clarity. It gives me clarity if I know where I am and where I'm trying to go. Now all of a sudden I've got a way to calibrate that versus, and you use quiet quitting. We hear great resignation. We see engagement scores are at like 70% of people are disengaged at work. I think a lot of that is because we don't know really what we're trying to do. We don't have passion for that. And then we get all this busyness going on, email and details and, parents and playing time and coaches and wins and losses. I mean, it's just, it is so, it can move from doable hard. It's always going to be hard, Don, but it can move from doable hard to destructive hard. So that clarity piece, it's my job as a leader to make sure I know where we are and where we're trying to go, and we stay locked into that. And here's the reality: if any of you like to drive fast down the freeway, you probably do because you're in a hurry all the time. You can go so fast that you can literally miss your exit. And I think for us leaders, we can have so much going on so fast. The success of your program can be the thing that actually hurts your clarity. You're just going wide open all the time, and you literally can miss those things that are important. And so, and you've got coaches that are following you and a family possibly that you're influencing. And so the reality is, if the vision becomes fuzzy to you, it'll always be blurry to the people who are following you. So you've got to make sure that you stay locked in. That's the clarity piece. The capacity, it goes literally back to how you're using your time, because that's the one thing that you're limited by. You don't get any more time, but you do have a way to structure things, and you have things that you probably have your hands in that you could trust somebody else to do. And there's all kinds of things we could say here. And then the last word there you used was the word growth. I think it's so important for us to be learning leaders. That's why I'm so excited that anybody would show up today for just a few minutes to focus on your own growth. I mean, to me, your capacity to grow really does determine your capacity to lead. And your legacy is ultimately going to be decided by not how long you're in a place, but how much you grew while you were there. Growing people, we know this. Growing people always grow stuff, and people who are not growing, the things around them typically diminish or plateau, maybe at a minimum. And so I think there's things that we can do. And if I could just give one practice that I think has helped me, it's taking time to pull away and to ask myself those two questions: where am I and what am I trying to do? And is my life literally calibrated toward that? Your direction will always determine your destination. So if you're walking toward where you want to go, even if you're making slow progress, you're still making progress. If you're not really headed in the right direction, you're just busy, there's a good chance that you'll struggle. And so I'll just remind everybody here, noise makes it onto your schedule, whether you schedule it or not. Your schedule is jacked with noise, everybody here. But quiet won't make it onto your schedule unless you schedule it. And so I think we need some quiet at times where we're pulling away and asking ourselves, what are we really trying to do here? And if we can calibrate on that and then take steps toward that, we actually can get to a better place.
It's funny that you say that, because I have kind of recently started, when I go home, I've got my laptop with me. I put it in my bag. Before I would get home, the first thing I would do, I would take the laptop out of my bag. I would plug it into my monitor at my house. I would fire it up, and I would just kind of pick up where I left off when I left work, right?
Exactly.
And so what I've started doing is intentionally taking that bag, leaving the laptop in it, just setting it in my desk chair, and then I connect with my family. I do whatever I have to do. I cook dinner. I go pick up my daughter from practice, whatever it is. But just the simple fact of me leaving it in the bag,
Yeah.
and not just firing it up, has allowed me to kind of find a little bit more clarity and peace and quiet there before, once everything's settled at night. If I want to go back and knock out a little bit, then that's fine too. But that's helped me tremendously to your point, just finding that intentional act.
Yeah. Well, and you might want to even challenge yourself. I'll put on the coach's hat here for a second. For you might want to challenge yourself. Is it possible for me one day a week to leave the bag at the office? And then maybe I get to 2 days a week. And you may never get to where you're doing that every day, but that might happen. For everybody else listening, I'll coach you for a second and just say that what I was talking about, quiet on your schedule. Could you just pick an hour sometime in the next 10 days where you say, this is going to be my hour, and I've got a meeting with me, and my phone's not going to come. Maybe I get a legal pad and a pen and I get to look out a window. But other than that, it's just going to be me trying to focus on those two questions: where am I and what am I trying to do? Maybe an hour is too much. Maybe you can't find that. Start with 30 minutes. But eventually, if we're going to really accomplish something great, I think we're going to need to spend some time alone really thinking about like what are we trying to do? And back to your point, when we're back at home, these two really tie together. We really are there. So I love that.
Good stuff. Now we are kind of a one-stop shop today. So we give a book recommendation. We give a podcast recommendation as well. Well, you took care of that for us today. So you took care of the book recommendation and the podcast recommendation. First of all, real quick, let's focus on the book for just a second. Winning Begins at Home is the book that we wanted to focus on today. Maybe talk about that for a minute. What inspired you to write it? Why did you believe that that was a message that about leadership, success, and home that leaders needed to hear right now?
Yeah, it actually comes from a conversation, well, several conversations I've had with executives all the time. This shows up, but I was having a specific conversation with an NFL coach, an assistant coach in the NFL who had won a Super Bowl with another organization. He's now was coaching in an organization I was doing some work with, and we're talking about this. And he asked me a question. He said, "Do you think we can win a Super Bowl without me losing my family?" And I'm like, that question seemed kind of like, what are you saying here? And he said, "Well, here's the deal. Won a Super Bowl in the other organization. It was all when the confetti was falling down and we get the trophy. It was really great, which is what we've been working for. But I look around and all our coaches are just their families are a mess. A lot of the players, their lives are a mess." And he said, "Now I have two little girls and my wife and a young family. My girls are 2 and under." And he said, I'm looking at what we're trying to do here. And I believe in this. I think we can, but I don't want to blow up my family to do it. And I came up with a phrase after that conversation. I told him, I said, "I think you can. I really do believe you can." But I asked him this. I said, if you can't do both, why do you want to win a Super Bowl? And he said, "Honestly, I don't. Not if it costs me what matters most." And so I came up with this phrase later, and it actually led to the book. If you win at work and you lose at home, you still lose. I do believe you should win at work. I'm all for that. I mean, we have a company, we're doing great. I mean, it's fun to chase all that. But if I do that at the expense of the people and the things that matter most, I believe I'm going to be an old man someday and look back and have some regret. And I can live with a lot of things. I don't want to live with regret. I mean, and regret happens day by day. It doesn't happen like, well, I'll get to it later, but you got to do that. So we wrote the book. I would say to everybody here, pick up a copy. And I know I wrote it, but it's a easy read. Coach Bill Curry, some of you'll know that name. He said he likes the books we wrote because he said they're like at a 7th or 8th grade level. My players can all read them back in the day, and which was cool. But this is not deep reading, but the principles here are really the fundamentals to build a great family and to win outside of work. And so there's a 120-page parable, and then there's a 75-page basically a blueprint to help you walk through it. And it's based on a guy who ends up he's a little league coach. And so I would say, honestly, for all of you, pick up a copy of this, get one for all your coaches. This will be a great discussion for any of them. If you can't afford them, call me. I'll send you one. But it'll be the best investment you can make in your coaches and what you're trying to do. We've had great feedback from it. So yeah, that's how it happened.
Good deal. And then maybe touch on the Lead Everyday Show, the podcast.
Yeah. Mark Miller and we actually, if you're looking to win on the work side, I know we're not supposed to do 2 books, but we wrote a book called Lead Everyday.
Take it.
This is an operating system, basically. We kept finding that most companies that we work with, they're just grabbing at latest, greatest random acts of training and stuff, and they don't really know how to become better leaders, how to build high performance teams, and ultimately how to build an organization. So we're both old guys, probably 80 plus years of experience together, and we've been working together for the last 15 years. And so Mark was the VP of leadership development at Chick-fil-A, and I did a lot of work to help them with their leadership stuff. And so we wrote that book together. And the reason I mentioned the book is because I'd love to offer everybody, we do have the podcast, the show is there, but I'd love to offer everybody, if you'll go to leadeveryday.com, there's a 75-day challenge that's free. And you literally can download that. And for the next 75 days, you'll get a 2-minute video that'll help walk you through how to become a better leader, how to improve team performance, and how to strengthen your organization. Very practical. We're big. I mean, I'm an old athlete, and so I'm a big believer in you practice your way to high performance. We always say hope is not a strategy. I think a lot of people hope things will get better or maybe something will change. We believe you practice your way to where you want to go. And so this book is also, and that podcast is highly actionable and practical stuff based on our experience. And we're just trying to serve leaders. So yeah, that's kind of what we're about. So go get the 75-day challenge. Love to have y'all join us on that.
Good deal. So I think we answered the one question about the playback from Pete. I think we're good there. Anyone else have any questions or anything you'd like to discuss with Randy before we let him go?
You can either unmute or throw it in the chat.
All right, fair enough, everybody. You have answered everyone's questions, and you have solved all of their problems, Randy, in record time. Before we get you out of here, how can people connect with you? How can they find you?
You can find me, you can connect with me. Social media is Randy Gravitt, just at Randy Gravitt, or you can get us at leadeveryday.com and learn about our organization any way we can serve any of you. We do training and speaking and coaching and keynotes and all kind of stuff. So if we can serve you or your coaches in any way, love to have a conversation.
Good deal, Randy. Thank you so much for saying yes again and pouring into us. I think it was a home run. So really appreciate the time.
Yeah, that's good, Don. We'll see you hopefully in 4 years, man.
All right. Talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, good deal. Really appreciate Randy taking the time. He is just a home run of a human. And so I would highly recommend that you reach out to him for more resources because he is great. He's great in like a coach's kickoff situation. I've seen him do that for one of our schools. I just absolutely crushed it. So just couldn't recommend him enough. Any topics that anyone wanted to discuss? I know that sportsmanship has been a big one here in Georgia throughout the fall and now into the winter. Had a big brawl that was very public that we may have talked about on here before that happened during football season. Had another one this past weekend at a basketball game in the southern part of our state. Just really, just not that it's something that I have had to deal with a great deal, but I think just outside looking in, it just seems like our young people are just kind of defaulting to what they see on TV on Saturdays and Sundays as how they're supposed to react. And so if you've done anything that you feel like has worked from a sportsmanship perspective that you feel maybe a little bit out of the box, feel free to unmute and let everybody know about it.
Yeah, thanks again, Don, for doing this. This is awesome. It was great to hear Randy do some really good stuff. We picked up a thing in Tampa at one of the sessions I went to. We have players from each team at our home games now read sportsmanship expectations. So instead of me sitting there reading the same card over again, behave, we put the young men and the young ladies at center court with a microphone. This is our time. Please respect us, respect what we're trying to do. And then we do it again at halftime for all those latecomers coming in. And it's really been effective. And we're trying to get it to snowball through the state. Other schools have started it. And sometimes coming from the kids who are participating, it's a great way to advocate for sportsmanship.
That's good, Marty. I appreciate that. I've seen it done pregame, but never seen it done at the half, though. I think that's a really good idea. I've never seen it kind of plugged in at that halfway point to get people that maybe weren't there at the very beginning. That idea of putting student voice behind it, definitely, I feel is a good move. Anybody else?
Don, I'll just throw in along those same lines as what Marty brought up. We had a league-wide statement, so we worked on that as league ADs, and then every school read the same sportsmanship prior to games. So we had some consistency with the messaging across the conference, and I thought that was powerful and beneficial. Again, I think the student voice, like you said, Marty said, really makes that more impactful when it's coming from students.
Anybody else, whether if it's got to deal with that or something completely different? You've got 70, where we at? We got 72 people on here right now that are here to help you and to learn from one another. So if you've got something that you want to discuss, by all means, put it out there. Kelly, you want to say anything about Positive Athlete? I know you put it in there. Could not promote that program enough. And now that it's national, if you wanted to say a couple words.
Hey, everybody. Yes, positiveathlete.org is a nationwide organization that seeks to recognize the positivity in our kids. And it is, they're not a vendor by any means. They ask nothing from a school, a family, anybody. They just provide opportunities for kids to be recognized, and there are also scholarship opportunities and other resources that are expanding and growing by the minute. So definitely worth a look. You can go positiveathlete.org and check out the website, check out everything that's associated with it. And I hope that you will create a culture in your schools that encourage every coach to nominate a kid.
Good deal. Again, I can't promote that one enough. And it has the best price point out there. It is free. And so it is nothing but a positive and nothing but a win. So would highly recommend that as well. Anybody else? I know that one of the things that we kind of stumbled out of the blocks with it. It's going to take some time. It's going to be a little bit more of a slow burn, I think, is a leadership certification program that allows student athletes to take NFHS courses and earn different levels of certification. We've got a level 1, level 2, level 3, and then the kid does a capstone project based on something they've learned over the course of that. And so they have to take a series of courses they're all free, and they're kind of packaged and themed. And so I feel like that is something that could be a home run. It's a little bit more difficult for me to do from the district office because I'm trying to facilitate, getting that message to 13,000 athletes, and how do we do that and how do we recognize it? It may be a little bit more doable at the local school level. If you've got any questions regarding that, by all means, reach out and I can give you some more information on it because I think it's a home run, and at the same time allows them to become leaders in their building with information that you want them to have anyway, because it is, coming from a place that a lot of them have to, the only time that they go to NFHS is when they get kicked out of a game, right? And they have to go take that sportsmanship course. Well, what if that wasn't the case? What if they leaned into the other courses that are on there? That would be good. Yeah, David was talking about those statements being too long. If you've got one that you want to share, by all means. Tanya, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just going to say the same thing. I was going to call out Tanya's comment.
Yep. Tanya, if you want to promote National Girls and Women's Sports Day, if you're still with us.
I am. Hi. Hi, everyone. Here in Cherokee County, Georgia, we celebrate National Girls and Women in Sports Day. We'll actually do it on Monday. The actual National Girls and Women in Sports Day is next Wednesday. It usually kind of coincides with signing day, so we try to stay off of that. But just any opportunity you can to, what we do here in our district is we bring all of our varsity athletes to one location in the morning and just celebrate their accomplishments and how far we've come with Title IX and just give them a little bit of talk on that, bring in some alumni, just do some great celebrations. Each school has an athlete of the year. We have a team of the year, just an opportunity to bring all the girls together, give them a special day and give them a little background on Title IX. You know, they're not from the generation of knowing about half court basketball, or there was no basketball at one point for our girls and all of that. So anytime you have an opportunity I mean, I know it's kind of late now to plan an event, but anything big or small that you can do to bring recognition to that day. And then if in the future, if you're interested in planning an event, you can reach out to me. I'm happy to help.
I'm going to piggyback on Tanya real quick. Her event is outstanding, probably the best in the state of Georgia. But we are gaining some ground in Georgia on. I'm seeing more and more athletic directors do some wonderful things. If you don't already have something planned, you don't have to sit this one out. You can do something as simple as come up with some foundational women in sports facts and have your female athletes read them at the beginning of every class or in between class changes or whatever format that is, or partner with your API. And it's a very simple way to dip your toe in the water with that day. I one and just a donut and a cup of juice or something, just to say thank you. In a world where we're losing, we want to do everything we can to say, hey, we get it. You have choices. You have other priorities with us, because we all know that we're coming.
And I promise Kelly is not a robot. That is her signal going in and out. But just to kind of piggyback on what Tanya was saying, I have actually attended her program, and it is fantastic. They do a really good job. One of my schools has actually tried to model what she does from a district level at their local school, and has, trying to replicate it, but that's the real thing, what they do in her district. There was a question about interviewing.
It was asking of 4 questions, just unique questions. I know you shared some stuff last time we were on about some of the things that you do, maybe sharing those again or different.
Yeah, well, we've actually put it into practice, I think, since the last time that we were on here. But and I cannot, if you're on here, by all means, unmute yourself, because it was a home run. The idea of having a whiteboard or a paper pad or whatever, or not even that, but in the middle of an interview, asking a candidate to, you've got 2 minutes, teach us something. We're all hiring teachers, right, before they are coaches. And that has been a home run for us. I've used it 3 times now. And the idea of, telling you put somebody on the spot there, but at the same time, it actually relaxed the entire interview because they were able to kind of get up out of their seat. They went over to the board. They taught us something, and it doesn't even have to be about whatever they're doing. So that's always the first question that we got to ask. Well, what do you want me to do? It's like, I don't care. Tell me how to make banana bread. Whatever. Just teach me something. And can they, number one, think on their feet? Can they articulate in 2 minutes and teach you something, or are they too wordy? And do they get to the point? And can they kind of thrive in that environment that is a little bit more high pressure? I've used it 3 times now, and it has been a difference maker in each time that I've done it. And so I think that one's a home run.
Don, I love the idea. Obviously, I'm not using it myself, but had you not done that teaching exercise, was that such a game changer that you would have hired somebody else had you not done the teaching exercise?
Yes, possibly. I think most of the time when you get it down to, 4 or 5 candidates, there's probably going to be 2 that you would want to elevate and every single time it was that one or two that's what separated them from everybody else. Their ability to kind of facilitate that exercise was great. That, and then I know I've mentioned 365 questions by Brett Ledbetter on here before. Their answer to that, there's not an easy question in there. They pick a number between 1 and 365, and you flip in the book, you ask the question. They are all home run, heavy hitter, personal type questions, and as a result, those were separators as well. So yes, to answer your question, Zach, saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, so I had gotten that idea on the whiteboard from a discussion. I can't remember where it came from. And I will tell you what it opened up is not only that, your answer on did it set everybody else apart or would we have hired someone else? In every case that we've used that, it has led to all kinds of various outcomes. In one case, we hired just a fantastic basketball coach because what he used his 2 minutes for was all philosophy related, and it really meant a lot to the people on the hiring committee because that's what we were looking for in the moment. In another case, there was a in-town local favorite that people really loved from a political standpoint, but then when he got on the whiteboard, he couldn't coach anything above youth level stuff, and it became very evident. And so then that helped drive conversations with people. So we've seen all kinds of spectrum on that. On some people really rise to the top, and that's their opportunity to set themselves apart from just canned questions and answers, where other people really set themselves the other way and helped us see, ooh, yeah, they don't have it, right? Because the interview is just that first part, and it's the second part of, okay, now that they're there, what can they really do?
Right.
And that's been enlightening for us in using that process.
Yeah. Just again, if you haven't done that, as we move into the spring and you're starting to look for new positions, I would highly recommend do that. Reach out to Zach. He's seen it firsthand longer than I have. And again, it's a difference maker in my opinion. If you can't get up in 2 minutes, I mean, there was one candidate that we kind of got a feel through the interview, had a hard time finding a period, had a hard time being succinct and just answering questions, and didn't even get close to explaining what he was trying to explain on the board in that 2 minute time frame. And so, being in that head position, you've got to be able to get in and out sometimes, and he wasn't able to do that both in the interview and then when we when we turned the heat up a little bit. And so it was obvious that he was not going to be the choice for us.
Hey, Dan, I got a unique question if you'd like me to
Sure.
share.
Sure.
So one of the questions I've had the opportunity to interview young people a lot at local colleges, and there's a question that I heard and I used it a lot, is if there are no humans alive and you were an animal, what animal would you be and why? And to give you an example of someone that really wowed me is he said, I'd be an ant. And I said, why is that? And he says, because ants never quit.
That's a good answer. Anybody else? Anything that has worked for you in the process of making a hire? That's always the trick. Finding the way to crack an interview, right? To find out who somebody really is.
Yeah, Don.
Sure.
Josh over here in Oregon. Anyone we interview, it doesn't matter what the job is for. We have 2 students walk them around and show them the facilities. Doesn't matter if it's coaching, teaching, parapro. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. And the kids come back to us and tell us what they think. It tends to relax the adult when they're talking to a kid most of the time. We've actually gotten some good feedback from a lot of the kids when they do that. And it actually saved us from hiring the wrong baseball coach a couple years ago. He started talking, and he went to another school and was there for 1 year and didn't return for some questionable choices. So it worked out in that situation for us.
It's a good idea. Another thing we did with one of the candidates, we had the secretary who was walking them back to us and forth. She placed a gum wrapper on the floor of the front office that they had to walk by. And so it was just this idea of, I mean, I know there are no little things, right? Like which one of the candidates will pick the trash up? Will they actually see it? Will they walk right over it? Will they look at it? Will they not? And she kind of came back and told us, hey, they either looked at it and didn't do anything with it, never looked at it, picked it up. And it was ironic that the candidates that we preferred all picked the trash up and threw it away. And so again, it's something little, but and it's not even in the actual interview, but it's a way to kind of see them outside of that. I know that some people will take, if you got it narrowed down to just a few candidates, take them out to eat. Let them see how they treat the server. Let them see how they eat, right? They're going to be in situations where they have to go to banquets or they have to go to dinners. Do they look like an animal, or can they fit in and and eat properly, if that makes sense. And then how do they treat the people that are serving them? And so that's another thing that I think has worked for a lot of people in the past.
Don,
Sure.
can I just throw in, I think you hit a little bit on Patrick Lencioni's work, ideal team player. He's got a bunch of questions. I think he offers that idea of taking someone out to eat as well. And I love the question about related to your team, the people that work for you. What do they find the most annoying about you? And it's funny, I've asked that question every single time, and it always brings a smile on someone's face, but it really makes them think about, okay, what are those things, and can they spin the story a little bit to not only just be a negative, and how well you get a sense of how well do they really know themselves.
That's really
But
good.
I would recommend that book. I'm sure maybe Don, I haven't followed you all the time, but maybe you've already had Patrick on here. He's a great one.
Would love to. Haven't yet.
Don, I think Samantha just posted about a campus tour, like you were kind of mentioning. One of the things that I did with really important hires, I think everybody's probably got that secret weapon coach or person on their campus that they trust, and is kind of an unassuming coach. I would have that coach meet the candidates as they were coming in and bring them to the interview room. So they would, kind of, alleviate their fears or whatever and calm them down and get them into the interview. But then when they left, I had that same coach take them on a tour. So we'd schedule enough time for him to walk them around. And then after that, I would bring that coach in and say, all right, what do you think? And we were hiring a head football coach, which obviously is a big hire. We interviewed 6 candidates, and my number one candidate, after the interviews, my coach came back and said, well, there's really only 2 that are worth it, but whatever you do, don't hire this guy. That guy was my number one candidate. So he was a really good interviewer, but his behavior and the way he acted before and after set this coach off, and we didn't hire him. Our crosstown rival hired him, and 2 years later had to fire him for really inappropriate coaching conduct, not personal conduct, coaching conduct. He was cheating. So my coach was right. The interview was one thing, the personal side was later, and I didn't have time to do that because we had all these interviews. And so, find that coach you trust and have them help you, in a different way.
It's good stuff. Before we wrap up, Phil, I'm going to put you on the spot if you don't mind. I know that the spring webinar information came out. Is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, thank you. Thanks for today. I thought it was a great session. Really enjoyed listening to Randy, but it's on our website. We encourage all of our members to visit our website on a regular basis. But that information is out there as we start primarily our spring webinars. There's several offerings out there. Again, you communicate to us your needs, and if you see that there's not one there, please let us know, and we can work to try to move those in and help you during that situation to make sure you're getting the professional development you need. But great session today, and thanks for the opportunity to share a lot of great things. I'm sitting here, y'all think I'm just sitting behind here in the ivory tower, basically not taking anything in. I'm telling you right now, I wrote down more today just in Randy's quick little nuggets that he shared with us that was outstanding. And the simple fact is Don was talking about, I take my backpack home every day. And and it sounds scary. I'm kind of like Don. I go home and I plug it up and I'm ready to get ready because, I'm going to have to deal with some things, but I got to start thinking about it. Maybe I need to leave it here one day, 2 days or whatever, and start thinking about that at home. So we all have tough jobs. You all have the toughest job because you're in the limelight in your community. Appreciate what you do. And thanks, Don, for leading.
Appreciate you. Our guest in February 25th, will be Andrew Murata, former Division I men's college basketball official, speaker, author, currently serves as the Director of Communications and Academic Services for Port Jervis Schools in New York, served 20 years as a principal and an assistant principal. And so he will be our guest next month. Thanks again for taking the time today. I hope that you found value in the AD Roundtable. If so, please tell a friend. You get this out there so as many people as possible show up. Lastly, I want to thank our sponsor. The AD Roundtable is presented by Daktronics, bringing big league scoreboards and video displays to high school athletics. And feel free to learn more at daktronics.com. Take care, everyone. We will see you next month. If we can help in any way possible, by all means, reach out. Take care.